Every way of life produces its own environment, and in turn is influenced by that environment. It is possible for a powerful mind to have joy amidst vile surroundings, but it can have greater joy in pleasant surroundings. The story of the Garden of Eden teaches us that environment is important. Where men cannot foresee the distant effects of their actions on the environment because of the vastly complicated interrelationships of the balance of nature, what rule of action shall they follow? Brigham Young was never in doubt. The one sure guide for him was the feeling for beauty. He knew with Plato that the good, the true, and the beautiful are the same. That what looks and feels and sounds and tastes good is to that degree sound, useful, and trustworthy. With all things going in one direction, men stubbornly going in the opposite direction naturally find themselves in the position of one going the wrong way on the freeway during rush hour. The struggle to life becomes a fight against nature. Having made himself allergic to almost everything by the fall, man is given the choice of challenging his nature so that the animal and vegetable creation will cease to afflict and torment him, or else of waging a truceless war of extermination against all that annoys him until he renders the earth completely uninhabitable. Granted, there are different levels and degrees that exist within as well as between species. Still, it is the privilege of every form of life to multiply in its sphere and element and have joy therein. Adam's dominion was a charge to see to it that all went well with God's creatures. It was not a license to exterminate the creatures. There is a forgotten teaching of the early Jewish and Christians that the dominion that God gave to Adam in Eden over his other creatures was nothing less than the holy priesthood, the power to act in God's stead. It is precisely because men now prey upon each other and shed the blood and waste the flesh of other creatures without need that the world lieth in sin. All creatures exist in their own particular spheres. We feel a kinship with the animals, and we should. We are going to live with them in the eternities. We should love the critters, and they will learn to love us. It is significant that in the oldest traditions and records of the human race, all those men who turned against God and man are represented at the same time as making war against the animals, the birds and the fishes, and destroying the forests and defiling the pure waters. This is told of Satan in the beginning, of Cain, of Ham, of Nimrod, of the Egyptian Seth, and of the mad hunter of the steppes, of Nebuchadnezzar, of Esau, of Caesar, of Assurbanipal, etc., all of whom sought to have dominion over others, over all others, and to achieve it only in one way, by force. The code name for such an order of things and such a program is Babylon. In commanding Adam to be fruitful and multiply, God also informed him that he had been given the identical command to all of his other creatures. Furthermore, that he was putting Adam in charge of things to see to it that his purposes were fulfilled. Specifically, he was to replenish the earth and subdue it, and to have dominion over every living thing in the biosphere. There are two clearly marked departments: the earth itself as a storehouse and source of life, which Adam is to keep replenished. The word used here is filled. And the creatures that move about on and over the earth, over which he is to have dominion. As Brigham Young explains it, while subduing the earth, we must be about multiplying those organisms of plants and animals God has designed that shall dwell upon it, namely, all forms of life, each to multiply in its sphere and element, and have joy therein. Always keep in view, Brigham Young exhorts us, that the animal, vegetable, and mineral kingdoms, the earth and its fullness, will all, except the children of man, abide their creation. The laws by which they were made and will receive their exaltation. We're all going to move together into the eternities, and even now look forward to the heaven and paradise of God, the happiness of man and of beasts, and of every living creature, things and the likeness of which is temporal. The spirit of man is in the likeness of his person, as also is the spirit of the beast and every other creature which God has created. What an admonition to proceed forward with reverence and care for the creation. It's only because the Latter-day Saints are ignorant of these things, according to President Young, that God has not already cursed them for their brutal and callous treatment of God's other creatures.